there. LTTV, Blunt Talk with LT, back at it with another video. All right, so they're still on break. The court's still on recess, but just a little recap for anybody that missed this. This is how Gunna got out, all right?
Each statement, whether or not you agree or acknowledge that statements are true, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
I became affiliated with YSL around 2016. Is that true as it pertains to you, Mr. Kitchens?
Yes, ma'am.
YSL is a music label and a gang, and you have personal knowledge that members or associates of YSL have committed crimes in furtherance of the gang.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I don't know if you can hear that. You might have to turn your volume all the way up because the audio is low on this, but this right here.
Knowledge that members or associates and a gang, and you have personal knowledge that members or associates of YSL have committed crimes in furtherance of the gang.
Yes, ma'am.
You were present when law enforcement officers stopped the vehicle in which you were present along with Jeffrey Williams, wherein hydrocodone, methamphetamines, and a firearm were recovered. These items did not belong to you.
Yes, ma'am.
And do you acknowledge the following statement? I recognize, accept, and deeply regret that my talent and music indirectly furthered YSL the gang to the detriment of my community. YSL as a gang must end. Is that your statement or acknowledgement?
Yes.
Please state.
Okay, so that was his statement or acknowledgement as you heard it from him out of his own mouth. That's how Gunna got out. He communicated, he cooperated, separated himself while admitting that he was a part of the gang, and that's what the RICO charge is. They're trying to put these gang-related charges. So he did admit that it's not just a record label, it is a gang, and they did criminal activities. So he, in fact, snitched. There's no way around it. And people want to debate if he's a street nigger or a civilian. Does it even matter? They can debate that, but you can't debate the fact that he snitched. Proof is in the pudding. Now, let's get back to what was going on in Young Thug's court case. It's live right now. They're currently on break, but I want to give you all a recap for anybody that's missed it. This is what his lawyer is currently on. He's trying to remove a lot of shit from the. Hold on, let me just play it so I don't have to give a verbal recap and fuck it up when I'm trying to reiterate the points that he's making.
And to observe, because everything else in that search warrant does not produce probable cause to search Mr. Williams' home. Then it continues on page 45. On line 4.
Hit that like button upon it for y'all. Let's get it.
I say in the middle of the sentence, nothing is attached showing that this arrest warrant was valid from DeKalb County. On line 40, page 46. On line 5. The next issue, Your Honor, that is asserted is that law enforcement officers entered Mr. Williams' home on the day that we're talking about. And I challenge that in the supplemental motion with the fact that it was read to this honorable court by the district attorney, supposedly armed with an arrest warrant, and there was no need to search or even enter Mr. Williams' home because I'm challenging the arrest warrant was not valid if there is an arrest warrant. And the last issue in the affidavit for the search warrant discusses items that were located by law enforcement officers during the search on the day that you heard about, which I would say is a fruit of the poisonous tree. So I have 3 issues. 1, there is no at all arrest warrant presented to this court. So under Biads, which I have a copy for the court, how can I challenge the arrest warrant? How can the court say it's a lawful arrest of Mr. Williams at his home without being armed with a certified copy of the arrest warrant? Therefore, and I stress this, Your Honor, everything thereafter falls as fruit of the poisonous tree. On page 47 of the transcript in courts number 2, on line 9, I continued. So the only thing we're left with is the unlawful entries into Mr. Williams' home, and I would ask the court, based upon that, suppress the evidence, grant the motion to suppress. Mr. Bailey then speaks on page 47, line 14, and going to line 18. at the last word, he says, this motion to suppress the search of a home that the defense is alleging is illegal. Nobody's talking about only marijuana. Mr. Bailey continues on page 48, in line 10 in the middle. The only two questions, Your Honor, are, did they have reason to believe Mr. Williams would be there, and so they could go into the house and get him? That's it. And then secondly, once they're in the house, did they see something that would give them probable cause to obtain a search warrant? Those are the two issues, not whether the arrest warrant out of DeKalb County was valid and whether the case was eventually dismissed or anything like that. The court then, on page 49, on line 6, says to the state, in which case you would have produced a copy of the arrest warrant. And Mr. Bailey says, right, which would have been a subject, I'm sure, of the suppression motion at that point. And then the Honorable Judge Newkirk said, well, it sounds like Mr. Steele made the arrest warrant a subject of this motion, also in a supplemental motion which the court file does not have.
Now, there is some audio issues throughout the course of this. Sometimes it goes mute. Sometimes the mic is muffled. Sometimes the visual even goes black. But you can alter that. Let's get this back.
The prosecutor says, and that is the copy, the supplemental one. Again, he's not challenging the arrest in this case. He mentions something in there about a DeKalb arrest warrant. If he wants, there's no need to challenge a DeKalb arrest warrant now because the case was dismissed. But there is a forum for doing that, and that may be what they did in the case. Maybe they challenged the arrest warrant in that case. On page 51 of court's number 2. The district attorney states on line 6, that doesn't mean that because there's not a certified copy of that arrest warrant that has any bearing at all on whether the entry and subsequent search of this house was proper. Everyone's talking, Your Honor, about the entry. That would be the state's argument in the case. At line 11, the Honorable Judge Newkirk said, all right, tell me again about Baez. I'm not familiar with it. What is the site? Is it Supreme Court or Georgia Supreme Court? I say Court of Appeals. I give the court the site. And then on line
Yeah, I'm sorry, I
51.
51, okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Yep.
And then on line, the court asked me for a summation on Baez again, and I said, okay, that's on line 22. So it's a motion to suppress like we're dealing with here. Law enforcement officers have obtained a search warrant after an arrest warrant. So it's the same sequence here. Going on to page 52, Your Honor. Law enforcement officers utilize the arrest warrant. They call it several things, bench warrant, arrest warrant. And just like Mr. Williams, it was challenged whether it was a valid arrest warrant. The motion to suppress hearing goes forward. The prosecution doesn't put forth the arrest warrant. The Court of Appeals says without the arrest warrant, it is not in the record. We are not finding there was an arrest warrant. It was challenged, and they suppress the evidence and find it is a fruit of, since there's no basis in the record to have an arrest warrant, everything thereafter is unlawful. That's exactly what I think happened here. That's why I used the case. Why did I make the supplemental motion to suppress all evidence located from Mr. Williams' home? Your Honor, I was challenging everything. It is clear. And I'll get to the Judge Newkirk's order because it's not a fair reading of the order to say only the marijuana. That's not true. I didn't write that order, by the way. On page 52, line 23, I say, and I don't want to play games with anybody. I put it in its own paragraph. I made it a supplemental because I realized there was a problem with the arrest warrant. So I made paragraph 7 standing alone, or standing on its own, and I wrote, moreover, law enforcement officers were not armed with a valid arrest warrant in DeKalb County at the time of entering Mr. Williams' home, and thus, and Your Honor, I'm stressing this, all evidence must be suppressed on page 53, lines 1 through 5. Then skipping to line 15, I again plead to the Honorable Judge Newkirk, the law should be followed in this case. And I say, but I guess it goes back to if the first arrest warrant is not before this honorable court, according to Baez, it was challenged, just like I challenged it on behalf of Mr. Williams, then how can this court sit here, the evidence that you heard, and say, well, there's a valid arrest warrant? We challenge that there's no valid arrest warrant, and then it's not saved later, in my opinion, the search, because I don't know how else law enforcement gets in the home. Because now, you know, thank God there's not a shootout in the house where law enforcement had to go there. On page 54, line 5, Your Honor, I continue. So I don't know how law enforcement, without a valid arrest warrant here today, has any evidence to go before the court. And that is why I made an issue of the other items in the search warrant, like the confidential source, the alleged confidential source, the murder of Mr. Thomas, because all of that doesn't save the search warrant. So that's why I thought it was important. The court states, the Honorable Judge Newkirk, on page 55, its ruling. On line 18, the court says as follows: all right, Mr. Steele, I'm going to go with you on this. I think you are correct. I think the burden is on the state to show the initial arrest warrant was valid and initial entry into the house was valid. And he hasn't done that, meaning the prosecutor has not done that. It appears there's no testimony from any officer. Certainly, there's no need for her to go back in the house without a search warrant. It doesn't sound like she searched for anything, so that might have been harmless, That might have been harmless error because the arresting officers discovered it and went out and told them. And this is what I'm stressing. Line 4, page 56, the Honorable Court's ruling. But I don't think we get to that hurdle because the lack of authority shown to the court that they had permission, meaning the police had permission to enter the house on the front side. So I will grant your motion, Mr. Steele, if you will prepare a proposed order. I never did the proposed order. I don't know why I wouldn't do that when I'm told. Maybe I did and the judge didn't like it. That's not my order. The bottom line I'm trying to tell this honorable court with as much earnest and power and professionalism as I can is I do not want to relitigate this after I gave a roadmap to the prosecution on how to litigate.
All right, so we got to get back to the current moment because the judge is back now. Let's get it. Oh, this nigga's not even saying anything. I could have left it where the lawyer was. Goddamn. Oh, well, here's what it is. Nigga's going through his files. Uncle Phil looking ass nigga. Let's get it. Whoa, hold on. Hey, yo. Okay. Breathe, dog. All right, what's going on over here? Hold on, y'all. You don't generally see state RICOs. State got greedy with this one. That's why they're fucking up all the procedures on the way. A lot of this evidence is going to be suppressed because it was unlawfully gathered. So, what this nigga's looking over right now. It's funny because when Thug's lawyer was barring down the prosecution, she came back and she's like, I have nothing to say. I have no defense for this. I was not prepared for this. She was sitting in the corner, sitting down like,
I ain't gonna lie, I'm getting cooked.
she was not prepared for it. You don't hear the drop. Proud black father says, good look, LT. Shady likes you right now. People respect the content. Well, shout out to y'all, but who's Shady?
Who?
Let's get to it. Just sitting here smoking a blunt, bare dead space. This nigga's going over the files. Yikes. I might flip to the Tory Lane stuff right now because that's still currently going on too. But come on, nigga, let's get it. When are they gonna commence? What is going on here? What is the final judgment we're looking for? What is the conclusion of all this? They're talking about suppressing certain things and throwing out certain things, but does that mean he's going to get out in any type of way? But right now what I'm seeing is a reduction in years. Regardless if he's getting freed at this moment on some technicality, all I'm seeing is a reduction in time because they're trying to stick some things that were irrelevant to the initial arrest. So, dude has to go through it right now. See what's going on here. What's going on the lawyer's channel. Let's see what these guys are saying. Okay, they saying a whole bunch of nothing over there. You gonna ash? Huh? Oh. All right. See who's still in the courtroom. What up, chat? All right, so Jason Green says, fruit of the poisonous tree. My bad, I'm smoking a blunt. Fuck. All right, so Jason Green says, fruit of the poisonous tree is a deep defense because now the judge has to look at all the charges stemming from what was said to be an illegal process. So every charge that was drawn up against them that was obtained illegally from the police not following proper protocol now can be thrown the fuck out, dismissed, suppressed. So I'm saying that's why all I was hearing was years being thrown away or thrown off of his sentence if he's being sentenced, if he doesn't get off on some time served shit the way Gunna got off, but Gunna snitched. So different process. Let's get back into the full screen. I think they're about to start. If not, no. Hey, yo, what the fuck? Oh, hell nah. Yeah, we're having some technical difficulties over there. Proud Black Father says, a judge delay like this signs of a defense win. Seems like that. The way Thug came in his suit, hair done and everything, he looked like he was ready to leave. Looked like he was ready to check out. It looked like the lawyer already spoke to him. He's like, yo, we got this shit in the bag. We about to check out. But I wonder what's going on with this. Is this done? Did they just block out They were speaking about blocking out the people that weren't. Hold on, let me hear what's going on. Oh, they wrapping up. Oh, yeah, they wrapping up. There must have been a disturbance. Let me see what's going on over here. Yeah. Oh, yeah, they ain't keeping this open to the public. Something fishy going on. Something fishy going on.